welcome. My name's Claire Howell. I work with Understood, and I'm here with my colleague Carolyn Quainton, who's the director and founder of Understood, and also Dan Norton from First Bus, who I will do a big introduction to in a little bit. So firstly, I would like to say thank you very much for Women in Bus and Coach for hosting this, for asking us to run this. And it's lovely seeing people coming in on the chat and saying, hi, everyone, keep it going. Also to the Confederation of Passenger Transport, or CPT, for actually commissioning this training, this really important training in the first instance. Hi, Ahmed, I've just seen you. Ahmed was on the trainer last week, and I've just seen your face. What a lovely surprise. So, yeah, it's been an absolute privilege to work on this project, and the people we worked with in the early stages of the design and the development was extensive. So the CPD set up a really strong steering group of bus operators who were fantastic throughout. We worked with victim groups, we worked with the police, we interviewed bus drivers. We did a lot of extensive research to try and make this training as relevant and bring it to life for bus drivers as we possibly could. So yeah, this session is designed to be interactive, but the training itself is very interactive. It's face-to-face. There are lots of activities, lots of engagement. And what we're going to try and do this morning is just give you a taster of that. So we'll do some interactions. There'll be some polls, so please stay engaged. But the training itself, obviously, is quite a different experience. Obviously. So let's start with the question, why VAWG and why now? This infographic, and I hope you can see some of the stats on it, is something we use, a bigger version in the training itself. And it's designed really just to hit people in the face with the reality of the VAWG epidemic that we face in the UK right now and actually worldwide. So just take a moment to look at some of those stats, the ones that you can see, and either shout out, come off mute, or put in the chat anything that really stands out to you. Right, I'm monitoring the chat. Anything that's really hitting you straight away. Ahmed, can you come off mute and give us a stat?
Hello, everyone. Okay, so the first one is about girls between age 18 and 24. There's 97% being experienced sexual harassment. That is a big number. As I said earlier, it's almost 100%. I mean, 3%.
Nearly all of them.
Yeah, it's almost 100%.
Absolutely. And I think there's Michael Sandland picked the same statistic. It's overwhelming, isn't it? Yes. And, you know, I think, Dan, as well, you're saying one in three or 2 women are murdered by an ex-partner.
2 women murdered. Yeah, I mean, it's every 8 days, isn't it? It's nearly 2 a week. And when do we hear about these things?
Yeah, absolutely.
So much.
I'm just going to leave those thoughts with you, and Carolyn has shared the infographic in the chat as well, which you're very welcome to download. So there are some stark statistics on there which really make it clear why this is such a challenge. And I'm going to home in on the transport experience bit, which you might not be able to see that well, because we did a survey and we found out that around 1/3 of women feel unsafe using public transport, and that's actually a broader survey as well. We did our own survey too. And about 34% have witnessed harassment themselves. 1 in 4 women experienced unwanted sexual behaviour on London transport in the last 4 years. So this is very much a transport issue as well. And that's why it has become the law. So this is why VAWG, but why now is because the government have mandated training for all bus drivers around this particular topic. And there are a couple of stats on there that really make me feel quite positive, in that we've got a population of around 150,000 bus and coach drivers in the UK. And if you think about it, if we're training all of those people in developing awareness, that could have a huge impact on tackling VAWG itself. And also there's a really positive stat that says 85% of people want to help. So the training itself, we have 3 clear objectives with this training. The first one is to be able to spot when violence or harassment against women and girls is happening on the bus, and generally to be able to know what to do if a driver does see it. And we're looking at safe, simple actions, nothing that puts the driver at risk. And then also the third objective is to really understand the power of reporting and how to do that. Because with those 3 key things, drivers can make a massive difference. And how do we do it? Well, the training is staged. So the training is staged so that we build awareness, we build the topic, but we also use a number of features. Obviously, psychological safety. The slide you're seeing now, this is all about the trigger warning at the outset. We don't share anything that's too shocking, but we recognise that this is a topic that can be very triggering for a lot of people. So we create that psychological safety right from the outset and set some ground rules about how we respect, listen, because we appreciate that we could have victims in the room, people who know other people who this has happened to, and we could also have potential perpetrators in the room. So it's a very, very sensitive topic. Quick question for you, and I'm going to do a poll. Let's see how this works. Okay, so you should see something popping up on your screen right now. Which of these do you think best describes a bus driver on a typical shift? I can see somebody's voted straight away. Safety professional. Oh, lots of votes coming in. Oh, I love it when you see the movement. So people are still voting.
I'm living the weather forecaster one. It's actually getting some votes as well. So that's what we do the most, and it's surprising how often people want to talk to you. So actually, being that chat buddy.
Right. So last chance to vote. I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results. And don't worry, there'll be other polls if you didn't get a chance to actually cast your vote. I mean, let's face it. All of the answers here are correct. There is no right or wrong answer. The reality is that bus drivers are expected to do a lot already. And Dan, you're sort of relating into it. Weather forecaster is one. Tech support when somebody can't use the machine. But the reason we do this and the reason we spend some time on this as an icebreaker is because we've got to get engagement from drivers right from the outset. Our aim is to change behaviour here. Change their behaviour. So we need to put ourselves in their shoes. Many of you might have been bus drivers on this call, so you get it. This is not something on top of everything else we're asking people to do. This is a really important part of safety and the customer experience on buses. Okay, thank you for joining in on the poll. Okay, mood lifter, comedian. We have a good old chat about this in the icebreaker of the various things that bus driver does. We also aim to create a lot of emotional engagement throughout the training, because we can all think about this with our, brains and our heads and say it's a terrible thing that's happening. But the way you really get a shift in behavior, the way you really spur people into doing something, however small, is through emotional engagement. That's what makes the difference. So we use videos, we use victim videos, we use videos that look at bystanders and what they do and don't do. And we use visualization exercises or activities because all of us have someone in our lives somewhere who potentially could be a victim of this. And that actually hits people very deep. And it works really well in the training when people think like, that could be my daughter, that could be my sister. Once we've created some sort of emotional engagement, and that continues throughout, we look at the whole spectrum of VAWG behaviours. And you can see some of them up here. Because let's face it, if we're going to ask drivers to spot it and do something about it, they need to know what they're looking for. And we talk through a lot of examples. This bit in the training gets a huge amount of debate. It's not crystal clear. So we work through lots of scenarios. So a few questions for you. A man stands too close to a woman on an empty bus and keeps asking personal questions. Would you say that's violence against women and girls, VAWG, or not? Well, there's a really clear deciding vote here, but I'm going to end the poll and share the results. Interestingly, 93% of people said yes. But it's not crystal clear. There are a couple of no's and there's one unsure. And a lot of the debate tells us that it's not always clear, because actually this could be, a third date. There are so many nuances. But typically, I guess it's the context and the environment and all of the other behavioural sort of cues that you're seeing as well. Let's have another one. A man shouts at a woman, "Cheer up, love," when walking past a bus stop. You're very speedy on the polls. I'm loving this. Of course, you're just waiting. I can see all of the results coming in. I wish you could see a bit of that. But we've got a much more divided view on this one. 37% here say they're unsure. And a lot of the chat in the room when we're working with drivers comes up to this whole generational thing. So, my daughters would say 100% that is violence against women and girls. I'm one of those that I grew up with it. So perhaps I'm a little bit more on the fence. The most important thing here is the impact it has on the individual. So we do a lot of talking around that as well. And then the final one, a couple arguing. Now, a lot of people say, get this on my bus all the time. People get on arguing, they argue throughout the whole sort of trip, and they're still arguing when they get off. Right, we've had lots of votes in, so we've got a really good spectrum again. All this tells us is that it's not always clear cut. There are a lot of nuances. There are many, many behavioural cues to look out for. But the discussion we have around this in the training really builds that sort of understanding around what the behaviours could be and how to look out for them, basically. The other thing we do is we look at this whole topic through different eyes, different perspectives. We look through the victim's perspective. We place a lot of emphasis on that because of the emotional impact. We look at things from a bystander's point of view. If you see something and you're not sure what to do and why people don't act, and we look at things from the perpetrator's point of view, which is actually quite a scary lens. Now, I'm going to play you a video, and I really hope in my heart of hearts that actually this works and it's not glitchy for you. Oh, Dan, you've put a little comment in here. Is that kind of, yeah.
It was backing up the comment that was made before, asking that was from Amanda saying, what was the intent of the comment, and did you really want me to cheer up? No, I don't think you did. And I just think, well, was the attention actually wanted in the first place? Because if it's unwanted attention, then surely it counts towards violence against women and girls if it's unwanted.
Brilliant comment, and brilliant comment, and really important. Now, bear with me. I'm just going to stop sharing and reshare because I think I didn't share my sound, and I want to play you a video. Okay.
It is often only high-profile murder cases that make the headlines. But one reason why violence against women and girls is so common is because sexual harassment and sexist behaviours often go unchallenged.
Women deal with sexual violence every single day through people who don't even recognise that what they're perpetrating is sexual violence. It happens in the workplace, it happens on the street, you know, it happens in any dating environment, it happens online, it happens on social media.
You right?
Yeah.
You're looking good. Want some tips?
No thanks, I'm fine.
Very often men and boys are kind of not part of this conversation, not part of conversation about women and girls' safety. And that kind of does two things really. I think for women and girls what it does is it puts all of the responsibility on us to manage and maintain our own safety. And what that does, whether people are aware of it or not, is it often limits our freedoms. It limits our freedom of movement. It limits our freedom of choice. And often means that as women and girls, we're not participating fully in the world around us.
So you're training for something?
No.
Don't think she's that into you, mate. Don't worry. I'm getting a number before we leave. That girl. What's her name? Do you have a number?
Sexual violence starts long before you might think. Invasion of personal space, unwanted attention, sexual comments.
Thanks for all your help.
And unwanted touching.
I think the message for myself around bystander complicity is the hypocrisy that goes with it, because so many men wouldn't tolerate comments being made about their own family members, and yet we see all too often there is this complicity and no consideration of what the impact is on the woman or group of women that are there.
Hey, you're gonna give me a number? Don't ignore me. When are you coming to the gym next?
Many people want to help challenge sexual harassment, but it can be hard to know when to intervene.
Every 3 days, a woman is killed by a man in the UK. But many of us don't make a link between these crimes and the sexism and sexual harassment that we witness every day.
Now, that video is actually a lot longer video. In the training itself, we play the whole day, if you like, which shows the perpetrator moving from the gym through to a nightclub in the evening, in the nightclub economy. And we see his persistence with a number of different women. And it's actually really quite eerie. But what it does beautifully is display some of the behaviours. So drivers can actually see the way potential perpetrators might operate. And what it also illustrates is this escalation pyramid. Is that what we know is that perpetrator behaviour does not start with abuse or sexual violence straight away. It escalates. So it typically starts low level with the sexist attitudes, approaches, comments, and it moves forward through harassment, control, and intimidation until it gets really, really serious. Now, we have quite a lot of challenge around this escalation pyramid and around the conversations around it, because some people say, you know, really, does that mean that if we're making jokes and sexist, using sexist language, that doesn't mean we're going to go on and do these things? Of course it doesn't. But what the perpetrator does is they try things out at a lower level. And if they get away with it, they keep doing it. And that's when their behavior escalates. And this is where everybody can really support this by not calling out some of the lower level behaviors, not flagging them, not noticing them. It actually enables the perpetrator to keep going. So there'll be 1 in 100 people who perhaps exhibit those low level behaviors that will go on to escalate. So this is an activity we actually do in the training. We have a load of cards, different behaviors, and we look at where they fit on the escalation pyramid. So I'm going to ask this question: sending repeated messages online after being ignored. Where would you actually put this? Which stage of the pyramid would you put it? I'm thinking we're getting 100% agreement on this straight away. A little bit of a difference there. Okay, I'm sharing the results. Most people are saying harassment, control, and intimidation. And it's actually absolutely right. I'm sure Dan and Ahmed, who've done this, been through this, will remember that there's lots of different combination of cards and discussions around it. And the idea isn't that there's a right or wrong answer, but we really delve deep into some of these behaviours which are absolutely problematic. Oh, let's have another one. I think I've just given you the answer to that one, haven't I? Sharing sexist memes or videos in a staff WhatsApp group. One of the things I said to Dan is, God, I've got to make sure I don't get too click happy. Is another one. And I'm showing you this one as well. Repeatedly asking someone, touching someone after you've asked you to stop is sexual abuse. Right, let's see if I can not click this one. Right. Saying she only got promoted because she ticked the diversity box. Where would you put that? This is a really interesting one because we're getting a whole range of responses here. So I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results and be really interested if anybody wants to put anything in chat about your thoughts around the whole range of answers that we've got on this one.
I think what it demonstrates is that there's a lot of overlap between these things, that these behaviors, they're not clear cut.
Absolutely. And what it also demonstrates, I suppose, is a lot of it is about the impact on the individual, and how different people perceive different things. I'm checking in the chat to see if anybody's got more interesting insights than my own. Obviously, Dan's was interesting, but we'll keep paying attention. Oh, hang on. Excellent. I think the cultural bias, something from Olivia. Olivia, thank you. I think the cultural bias is that women, disabled people, LGBTQIA plus people, and people of different ethnicities are tick box promotions. Beautifully put. Absolutely. and Tom Moran's got a fire alarm going off. So that's much more important, I think, in the moment for now. But yeah, I think that tick box is it has real impact on people, and we do talk a lot about that in the training and the impact on the individual, and there is a whole activity around that. Okay. And there it is. It actually sits with cultural bias and equal expectations, but actually can have a much more serious impact than that. And this is where all the behaviours fall into place. So there are many. Lisa's saying, I think it depends on comments. I think with these examples, it depends on the context. Absolutely. I think you've nailed it. And that's why the conversation around all of this is really important in the training itself. But this video and these conversations basically helps us illustrate these key perpetrator tactics. We see it in the video. We see the escalation. We see how perpetrators isolate targets, target vulnerable people, test out behaviours and hide in public space, but also minimising comments, perhaps shifting blame onto the target. You're being too sensitive, for example. Okay, so this is a question that we ask in the training, and it gets some really, really interesting results. So we draw a line down a big flip chart, and Dan, you say people are totally flawed. The men in the room are totally flawed when you ask this question, typically.
They are completely. It floors them because think, well, hang on a minute, why are we asking the question? What does the question mean? And I often then flip it to say, okay, if you can't think of anything, what do you think women may have to do? And then they start to understand the reasons. Yeah, it does stump them a little bit.
We've given Dan sort of, my inviting Dan to speak has sort of given the answer to this sort of poll away a little bit, but I just loved the way he said it floored them. And I've noticed a comment from Nicola as well. Nicola, you're saying with the previous section, it undermines a woman's worth, which is a really good way of putting it. But yeah, right, okay, let's have a look at what's coming in on the poll. So the typical answer to this sort of, this question in the training room is most men struggle, and women have a whole list of carrying their keys, planning their routes, not going certain places. But there were some men who'd say, no, actually, I take a lot of precautions. I don't do certain things that aren't safe. And you often have some women, and I've had them in the training room. It's like, yeah, they want to try it on with me. But typically, and Ellie's saying, I walk with my keys in my hand, never have headphones in late at night, and walk the long way home as it's better lit. Thank you, Ellie. That is the reality. And the men are often really, really shocked to understand that women do all of those things. Once we've really focused on sort of victim, we really sort of look at what you can do as a bystander. It says here, this is from our survey, our own survey about women on buses. No one helped. So only then, when we've built the picture of perpetrator and victim, do we look at bystander action and what people can or can't do. Again, we do it through videos, scenarios, so we can see what people can do. And we introduce the 4D framework. I'm not going to run a poll here because I think you're probably polled out. But this is just a quick question for you to think about. Imagine yourself in a public space. You see something that isn't quite right. What would you do typically? What would the barriers be to you acting? So we'd do a card activity around barriers. And there is no right answer on this one because basically people want to help, but they're often worried about making it worse. they're not sure what they saw, or most importantly, they don't know what to do. Only when we've looked at what you can do from a bystander's point of view do we look at it from the driver's point of view. And I'm not going to say anything more on that because I'm going to hand over to Dan shortly, who's going to take us through that section. But I do want to finish quick poll here on, well, it's a quiz question, actually, even more exciting. What percentage of women do you think don't report after an incident? Do you know what? You've nailed this with the guess. I mean, some people are anticipating more, but it is in fact 80%, which, if you think about it, is actually shocking. So we look a lot at the reasons why people don't report. There's an activity around these. It's really complicated. There are so many different reasons, and we see a video around it as well. But the most important bit we do here is we ask the driver to think about which ones they can remove for a victim. And this is quite powerful because, you know, that systemic mistrust, nothing's going to happen anyway. I blamed myself. There were many, many things that a driver can do. And we've got some lovely stuff in the chat. You know, the perpetrator will be angry as you've created a barrier to their success. Brilliant. Oh, brilliant. Gav, Brad and Tom are back in the room. We missed you. Amanda likely will take it out on you for calling them out. Interesting. Okay. These are the reasons that women don't report. What do you think is the most common? Okay, quick preview of the poll. I mean, you're all right. Basically, all of these reasons, it is so complicated. It tends to be a really complicated blend of lots of different emotions and feelings, which is why women don't report, and drivers can make a big difference to that. Okay, the great news is I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to hand over to Dan Norton from First Bus, who's a lead trainer there. And Dan attended our train the trainer session earlier this year and did a great job and has subsequently presented at a conference and delivered this training. So he's going to put us in the driver's seat. So bear with us for a little bit while I stop sharing and let Dan share his screen. I can see all your lovely faces now.
It makes that difference, doesn't it? So I'll just make sure I'm sharing my my sound as well, which I think I am. I hope I am anyway. Right. So yep, share sound. You should all be able to see my screen, which actually isn't in the right place either. So if I stop share, I'll just make sure that my thing is in the right place, as it should be, and then I can reshare again. Sorry, technology has never been my my forte, I'm afraid.
Right. Doing well, Dan.
We'll see. Okay. So if we was to look at things from the position of the driving seat, which is where we actually conduct the training from. So thank you for the introduction there, Claire.
That's all right. Right. Just a quickie, Dan. We're seeing not the slideshow view. So if you click on slideshow, we should get a fuller screen view.
Perfect. Is that working?
Yay!
Yep, perfect. Right, brilliant. Okay, so we are in the we are going to do this now from the perspective of the driver. As we know, there's quite a lot that goes on from a driver's perspective. There's a lot going through their minds. They want to finish work on time. They want to get the bus running on time. They've got endless customer inquiries. And there's a lot of visual barriers as well on the bus, lots of blind spots, people in the way, and those kind of things. So what we do run through is the fact that we don't want to give added pressure to bus drivers when they're out and about on the road by having to see VAWG or violence against women and girls incidents happening. As such, we say we're not putting the pressure on here. We understand that there are things that could get in a driver's way. Now, there's all of these things. What's that smell? I'm really thirsty. It's getting to that time of year. I think it's going to get quite hot by the end of the week as well. So that's going to be on a driver's mind. They've changed my route at last minute. I need to see the supervisor. Maybe the bus is full as well. Friday afternoon. It might be that there's plenty of people on the bus, and it means that we don't want to feed drivers this added pressure. As such, because there are so many things that could make it difficult to see on the bus, and there are a lot of things going through the driver's mind as well. When the drivers are in their training, we don't want to say, oh, by the way, you've got to do this as well. These things are happening anyway, and we've seen some of the statistics from what Claire was saying, and they do really paint a bleak picture of what's out there, and drivers are seeing that. And when drivers do see it, the training helps them recognize what it is they're seeing and will hopefully inspire them to report as well. But first of all, they've got to recognize it. And that's why it's important, as it was said in the video, that men and boys are brought into the conversation as well. So the all drivers, are able to recognize these kind of incidents. Obviously, it helps if the reporting procedures are in place. And we'll run into that in just a little bit. But we did have a quick look at the 4Ds in Claire's part. And the 4Ds, how they might look from a driver's perspective, might look like this. So a distraction might look like a driver may be saying to a young girl or someone who's potentially a victim of this, "Oh, can you come to the front of the bus? I just wanted to check what your stop was. Are we approaching the stop?" That might be a distraction technique that takes her away from that moment at the time. There might be a more direct intervention that a driver feels comfortable in doing, which might be an announcement of, CCTVs in operation on the bus. That's for the comfort and safety of everybody. Maybe if the driver was in a bus station, they might be able to delegate. So they might be able to call on supervisors, maybe even the British Transport Police. I noticed in the chat earlier there was a reference to the British Transport Police, who were called out for people who were sneaking alcohol onto trains and things. So they can help us as well. So we might be able to delegate in that way. And what we really focus on is the importance of documentation and making sure that sound reporting procedures are in place, and capturing those key details, and the importance of doing that is really important. Okay, we're going to run another poll now, and we just really want to know how comfortable you would be. First off with distract, then with direct, then with delegate, and then with document. So the first one is a distraction. How confident would you feel, for example, in inviting a passenger to change seats? Would you be very comfortable, quite comfortable, or not really very comfortable at all?
Okay, so we're getting a whole mix of responses down. I'm seeing the results come through live. I feel like I'm on Eurovision or something. And I'm going to end and share now.
Okay, I mean that is a real split. Quite comfortable coming out on top, but only just. So again, maybe there is something to be said for trying to increase a driver's confidence in doing these things. Thank you for those. So that's for distract. So we might be a little bit comfortable with distract. What about direct though? So how confident would you feel in how confident would you feel in calmly asking someone to stop their behaviour. And that's on.
Yeah, sorry, Dan, to interrupt. Before I launch the poll, just going back to sort of distract as well. One of the things that we talk about is that it's really important for drivers to feel comfortable with what they're doing, only to do what they feel comfortable with. And there was about a third of people said very comfortable with asking somebody to change seats. So something small can make a massive difference. Right, I'm launching the direct poll for you.
That's right. So yeah, on a scale of very comfortable to quite comfortable to not comfortable, even depends. How confident would you feel in calmly asking someone to stop their behaviour? Oh, there's a real mix on this one as well, isn't there?
That's ready to share.
Okay. Right, so there are a few people who wouldn't be comfortable with that. However, I'm surprised actually that nearly a quarter of people saying that they're very, very comfortable in doing that, because it is quite a direct intervention, isn't it? And from some of the comments coming earlier on about how you're going to make someone not realise their goals and you're going to anger them in that way, that is quite bold. But again, it's about encouraging a little bit of common sense and doing what people can do safely. And obviously, the thing here is that staff should only take actions they feel comfortable with, whilst always prioritising on their own personal safety. That is absolutely crucial. Okay.
And I note, sorry, Dan, I note that just monitoring the chat for you. Note that Carolyn's saying feel free to share any comments, context in this chat. Anybody who put depends. It's really interesting. So Michael, would be interesting to see the split of these answers between gender, and if that makes a difference. Interesting question. We'll definitely look into that.
It is.
Yeah,
It is,
yeah. Interesting question.
I've found sometimes on the actual sessions themselves, when we're delivering this to bus drivers, there is a real split on direct as to how comfortable people would be. I haven't noticed a gender split, but that's a really interesting point. Really interesting. Yeah. Okay, third poll then. This is about delegate. So how confident would you feel that if you passed any information on to control or to other staff, that it would be acted on and taken seriously?
And while the voting's going on, Dan, there's some really important comments coming through in the chat as well. So news of a death of a London bus driver could play on minds. We hear some really extreme instances where things have escalated. Nicola talks about de-escalation techniques, really important training. And I just want to say we really stress this throughout, that only where safe, only where we're diffusing. So a lot of comments along that line. Right, okay, let's share the results of this poll.
That is more or less a three-way split, isn't it? More or less a three-way split. Yeah. Okay. Obviously, we do want drivers to feel confident about these things, and it's really important to emphasise that very small, meaningful actions, very subtle actions, are so important, I think, and that obviously drivers should feel supported, and if they feel supported and they know that they will be supported when they report these things, that it could make all of the difference as well. Okay, last one then, on documents. So making a note of key details. How easy is that in practice? Is it very easy, quite easy, or is it difficult?
Yeah, and while we're doing that, Dan, Lisa Cook, thank you, Lisa, has made a really, really important point that we stress, that the sort of what happens afterwards is really important, whether they feel backed, whether sort of supervisors and controllers are really part of this. And we at the leadership conference we did earlier this year, we did work through some actor challenges on pushback, because if a driver doesn't feel supported and the processes aren't in place, it really causes a problem with them actually taking action. So yeah, in terms of actions after reporting behaviour, I think this aspect is all too dependent on how engaged controllers, supervisors are. 100%, Lisa.
Yeah. Okay, shall we end the poll here?
Yeah.
End the polling. 28% very easy, 25% quite easy, 47% saying that that's actually quite difficult. So obviously, if incident reporting needs to be really quick and simple, but if it does feel a little bit difficult, then obviously processes could do to be looked at there, couldn't they? And look at how we can improve those. Okay, thank you for your interactions on that one. It's great to see so many people interacting. We're going to have a look at a potential incident now that a driver may come across on the road after we've looked at these. So the role of the driver needs to be a very supportive one. What we don't want is for drivers to go in gung ho and creating a scene that might embarrass the perpetrator. It certainly could be embarrassing for the victim, and it could get the driver into a scenario they really don't want to be in. So supporting people is the key thing here. Drivers are not expected to fix everything. It's not fair to ask drivers to fix everything, but there are tools at their disposal that can support them in being able to defend themselves against these things. Support each other through those things. Risks still look different to everybody, and they are there. These tools are there to help support drivers. I think there's nods to the fact that drivers may be emotionally charged by some of these situations as well. That is worth remembering. So if there are colleagues, a mental health first aider on standby, then it's really important that those people can be on standby for drivers who may witness some of these things. But the key thing is small actions. It is not about being a hero. We're not saying to drivers, you've got to go in gung-ho here. It is a question of doing the small things that can really make all of the difference, rather than big things. So let's have a look at how we might be able to support drivers if they come into situations, because this is a potential real life situation that a driver may face. So let's have a watch. And the key thing here is, I'll ask you the question, maybe, what would you do? And some people may want to pop that into the chat. So we'll play you the video, and this is what it might look like.
So Dan, it might be because we sort of had a few tech challenges earlier that we asked Carolyn to play this film. Might that work better, okay, Carolyn?
Yeah, that'll work better.
Yeah, I'll give that a go now. What I'm also going to do, everybody, is paste the video link into the chat. So if you're struggling to follow along with it, because it might be a bit glitchy. So we're just we'll give it a go. And then if it doesn't work, I'll paste the link in so you've got it. And you could always watch it afterwards, of course, as well. And
throughout the video, after the video, Dan's going to ask you about your thoughts on it. So you might want to put a few reflections and comments in the chat as we go along. Feel free.
Okay, I'm going to press play. Maybe you can give me some thumbs up for the people on camera if you can hear and see this.
Looking and hearing good, sounding good.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'd like to go there. Excuse me. Do you know if this next one goes to Highfield? No, actually, to be honest. Oh, sorry. Don't just ask the driver, though. Okay, no worries. Thank you.
Running late again? There's a diversion too. Let's board this lot quickly and get going. Do.
Thanks.
Do.
Thanks. Hiya, do you go to Highfield Street?
We do, yeah, but there's a diversion line, so it might take a bit longer than usual.
Okay.
What's he up to?
How much is it, please?
It's £2.50, but if you've got a few journeys today, then it's £6 for a day. Did I just imagine that, or was he too close? I think he's just taken a photo. I'm pretty sure he had his phone under his skirt. Has anyone else noticed? I think she felt it. She definitely flinched. I can keep my eye on this. She looks scared. That could be my Evie. I don't want to get into a fight, but I need to do something.
Okay, so it's always at that point that we ask the drivers what it is that they would do, and you always get quite a multitude of answers as well, because we kind of look at what the red flags might be, putting yourself in John's seat. He's the driver. You hear his internal reflections. You don't actually hear what it is that he actually did, though, and the reason for that is that it's deliberately left open so that we can hear the reflections of the passenger concerned. But it looked as though, didn't it, that there were a few people on there who might have seen what was happening.
Dan, it would be great to open this up, I'm thinking. So, like, we haven't got slides at the moment. Let's maybe invite some people just to come off mute for a minute and just sort of give us some comments on their thoughts of what on earth a driver might do in this instance. Michael's put a note into the chat saying it's great to hear the driver's thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody actually wants to speak.
Does anybody want to come in?
Yeah, it's Ahmed here. Yeah, definitely. If I was a driver, I would call the lady to ask about her bus stop because the bus was in diversion. Just to get that distraction, I'll take her out of that situation. Also, I could do an announcement, keep the personal space for everybody, or no pictures to be taken on the bus. There's lots of things you can do as a driver.
So options are open.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, Olivia.
I think the first thing I would do is maybe call her back under the guise of asking her a question and just check on her and see how she felt. And if she discussed any not feeling particularly happy or comfortable, I know that our drivers would be told to radio control and ask street supervisors to meet them a little bit further down the road, because those guys are really trained in that conflict resolution and investigation process and getting police involved. So then I wouldn't need to tackle it on my own necessarily. And there'd be people there to support her at the same time.
Okay, thanks for that, Olivia. Anybody else want to come in? So I haven't got the chat window up at the moment.
That's all right.
So...
I've got it open. Nicola's saying take a note of the time for future CCTV reference. All of that's important. And Michael Sandland's got his hand up as well. Michael.
Yeah, hi all. So what we're obviously we're in a bit of a different situation at the moment because we're currently going through bus franchising to bring the buses back under public control. But at the moment, National Express is our biggest operator within the West Midlands area. And what we do now is obviously all the drivers have been there's a card we've got that when they're shown the card from the individual that they prompted to act upon something. So it's a discreet way of obviously alerting the driver if the woman felt unsafe. It looks a lot like our travel card, but actually states that I'm feeling uncomfortable, and the driver then has been taught for certain steps they can take. But also they're able to print out off their ticket machine now all of the information as well as the QR code for them to scan to actually take them directly to the reporting page. So it can be done a bit discreetly as well. So it almost looks like the bus driver's handing them a ticket, but they're actually not. They're actually handing them their fleet number, the time, the location, the CCTV reference. All of the information is on that ticket that's printed out.
Yeah, and there's a thank you, Michael. There's another comment in chat, Dan. So Neil says this is where we need an Ask Angela system and awareness of such a system for public and driver. I think these things are really, really important. And again, we've sort of, done some work and comment around that. As Carolyn says, something the CPT is working on. So I'm going to hand back to Dan. Sorry, I keep jumping in because I'm monitoring the chat. But you are going to get a chance to talk through some scenarios. So I just wanted to check people were still awake, Dan. That was it.
Obviously.
So I think we can move on.
Okay, lovely. So we heard the driver's internal reflections, even if we don't necessarily know what it was that he did. Sorry, the video's playing again there. Even if we don't necessarily know what it was that what the driver had done, what he did, we do know that he's seen, and we do know that it's probably that the victim had seen as well. Sorry, I'm having technical problems again because I'm on the video. I'm not on the.
Right, stopped you sharing. That should allow it.
Right. Thank you.
Well, while we're doing that, TFGM has a travel safe live chat function through the app where any unsafe behaviour can be reported. That's really important. Great initiative.
Right, I'll start sharing my screen again, and then from current slide. And there we are. Okay. So what we would do here, we would ask the drivers, what would you do in this situation? We remind them then of the 4Ds, and that allows them to use the 4Ds as a framework of what it is that they would do in those situations. And we ask them, is there anything that you would have said? So that reflects what some of the people have been saying about how they could bring people back, maybe give them some kind of ticket to say, or a docket of some kind to say, we know that this has happened. Do you feel comfortable? Do you want to continue? If you want to report this, then the mechanisms are in place, so we can say those things as well. Go back to if we could go back to Carolyn now, because you can play the video of the victim.
It's such a team effort, this, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? So we're going to hear from Gemma. Gemma was the girl who was upskirted as she got onto the bus, and we're about to hear some of her reflections and what it meant to her if the driver actually stepped up and did something.
I'm just going to check I'm sharing my sound. I'm pretty sure I am. Yep. Okay.
The moment it happened, I felt sick. Like he was far too close to me. And I could see him. He got his phone out and he held it really low. I was sure the driver had seen. I don't know what I wanted him to do, what I wanted him to say. I was just glad that I think he saw. I went and sat down at the front of the bus. I could see the driver in the mirror. And it somehow felt safer. The man sat right opposite me as well. I'm sure other people noticed. They had to have done. It just felt so obvious. And then once I got sat down, the driver made an announcement. And I remember he said something about respecting each other's space. And then he said that taking pictures or videos without anybody's consent, it wasn't allowed. And that if anybody felt uncomfortable, they could just come and talk to him. And although I was scared, I was absolutely terrified. In that moment, I felt all right. Because the bus driver knew and he saw. And I just felt less alone. And then the man got off and I could breathe. And then it was my turn to get off. And as I was leaving, the bus driver said to me, he said, "Are you okay?" And I was like, yeah, I think so. And he said to me, because what that man did, it wasn't okay. What he did was a crime. And he said he was going to report it to the police, and that I could speak to victim support, and that if I wanted to, I could make a statement in support of it, but that I didn't have to if I didn't want to. I don't know what I'll do, to be honest. But just that somebody had seen and acknowledged, it gave me the confidence to call my best friend and just tell her what had happened and say it out loud. And for that, I was really grateful. And I don't know, just the bus driver seeing just made me feel less alone.
There's a few things that we could say to that, isn't there? Like, how was Gemma actually feeling, and after the incident, and what small actions the driver can do just to make her feel better. Because if the driver had done nothing, is there a good chance that she would never use the buses again? I think the chances of that are actually quite high, aren't they? So we want Gemma to feel confident in using the buses again, and as such, we want drivers to be able to feel confident in stepping in. Gemma doesn't know exactly what it is that she's going to do, but she doesn't have to. And one of the other things that we do push upon drivers is the fact that people can do this in their own way, in their own time, and that we don't want to go putting pressure onto anybody who's experienced this. Certainly not at the time, because they can do this in their own time. It's the small actions, and also that the 4Ds can be used as a something of a sequence. Okay. So if I move my show on a little bit, we can ask all of those questions, such as the impacts and what other impacts it will have. Like, for example, like we said, she will get onto the buses again in the future. Okay, it's your turn now. This is one of the activities that we do on the course itself. So, Claire is going to share with us in the chat a couple of PDFs. Now, the PDFs are situations, and they're situations that drivers may come across whilst they're out and about on the road. It might be something you come across even in members of the public, and we want to bring the 4Ds to life in this activity as well. So we want to know which ones you would use. And the point of this is to try and establish what it is, A, that you would do, and B, show that different people might react in different ways, and that there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. These tools are there to support your judgment. So for the scenarios, we're going to put you into a breakout room. And in the breakout room, you can discuss with the people in there what it is that you would do, which of the Ds you would use, what might stop you from acting, and any support which may help you or may help the victim at the time. So, Claire, are you putting people into the breakout rooms?
I will indeed. So I've shared the PDF. If you could move to the next slide, Dan, so people can see the scenarios that they're discussing. Can't get past block dial scenario. Just joking. So if I could just have a few thumbs up that people can access the VAWG webinar PDF in the chat, that would be great. Look at that. Got loads of thumbs up. Thank you, everybody. So I'm going to put you into 5 random rooms, and I think you've got about 5 minutes to talk about it. I hope it's a great discussion. So get ready to meet each other and get involved.
I'll speak a word. Can you speak?
Right, the rooms are officially open.
We're not in rooms, are we?
We're not in rooms, Dan.
No, right.
Most
Okay.
people have joined. I think we've still got some people with us in the main session, but people are typically joining. Maybe not everyone will.
In 1 minute.
Yeah. Amanda, are you trying to join a session? Oh, you're on mute.
Just having some IT issues, so I'm just trying to sort those out.
Deep joy. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help. Richard, what about you and Simon? I mean, fine if you don't want to join, but just want to check you don't need some support. I think we've still got Simon, Laura, Wendy, Karen, Alison in the main session. Just let me know if you want me to put you into a room, if you can't get into one, or if you're happy to stay with the Understood and First Bus gang. So Dan, Carolyn, I'm going to suggest sort of five minutes for the breakout. Yeah, so that we've time for questions at the end, I think.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Someone said it's kicked me. Karen said it's kicked me out of the room.
Okay,
but can't get back in.
Right, before you put, hiya, it's Karen Holmes. I'm a police officer in South Yorkshire Police, and I'm dedicated travel safe officer. So I'm kind of voyeuring on the training that you're going to be giving the bus drivers in South Yorkshire.
Okay.
Oh, Karen, I've just put you. Have you been kicked out or?
I have. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just put you back into a room because I thought you wanted to go into a room, but I might have just.
I do, but if you can still hear me, I just want to pick Daniel's brains if he's the trainer for First Bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested, obviously, as travel safe officer in South Yorkshire Police, when this training is going to start for South Yorkshire, or has it already started? The reason I'm asking is because South Yorkshire Police were launching a similar training that I was then going to give to the operators in South Yorkshire, but having been 3/4 of the way through yours, this is far superior, and I can't see it pointing us doing it when this is going to get rolled out. So I just wondered how soon it's going to be in South Yorkshire, and will it go to the other operators, or is it just specifically First?
It's not specifically First. No, this is going out to all operators. Sorry, Carolyn, was you going to jump in there?
No, sorry, because I know, Karen, you asked Dan, but I was just wondering if I should jump in here. As Dan said, it's not just going to First Bus; it's going to every bus and coach operator who's a member of CPT. So essentially, most bus and coach operators across the country. I would need to check with my team as to the operators in South Yorkshire who have signed up for. At the very end of this call, we're going to go through the kind of mechanism for becoming a trainer in this and the sort of licensing arrangement. But I can always pick up with you after the call as well, Karen, because the content that we've created, obviously it's targeted at bus drivers, but a lot of it can be tailored for police, for any kind of public facing staff. So yeah, at the end of the call, we'll talk about how to get trained in it, and then me and you can have a conversation at some point afterwards, if that's okay.
Yeah, and Karen, I met you. I don't know if you remember.
Yes,
I talk about you a lot. I talk about Karen Pop because you were so cool and you were so focused on this, and you gave so much passion into it. So I remember that call. That was really, really inspiring. Thank you.
Ditto, yeah. And my interest is solely in the transport industry. Obviously, it'll affect the interchanges and the tram networks as well, which obviously that's the area that I'm wanting it to be trained in, not frontline policing or any other organisation. I'm just keeping it in the transport world So the scenarios would work perfectly within those contacts that I want to make with. But yeah, obviously I've got all your details, and myself and Claire have met before. So yeah, I'd like to link in afterwards if that's possible, please.
Definitely, Karen. That's great. Yeah, we'll do. I'll be in touch.
Lovely. Right, I'll leave you to it, and I'll join this room now. I'll be late.
Okay. They've actually had over 5 minutes, but I think we can let it run for another minute. I think probably we won't have time for a sort of debrief on what their thoughts were, because we want to allow time for questions, if that's okay. So I'll pick up when they come back and move on, so that people get the chance to speak and ask.
Do you want me to stop sharing my? Are you going to take over just sharing the screen?
I've done it. I'm sharing the screen.
You've done it, right? Okay.
Yeah, I did it while you weren't looking.
Oh, okay.
And while Richard, Laura, and Wendy weren't looking either, they probably saw.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to close the rooms because it's 16 minutes past.
Right.
Amanda, I'll let you back in. You went into the whole another world of tech there, didn't you? Goodness knows where you went, but you're back, which is lovely.
Was that the high tech IT tip of turn it off and turn it on again? That seems to do the.
Yeah. Did you give it a little kick as well? Just a gentle one.
Something like that. I think it gave me a little kick.
Right, people are coming back in. How was that, Mark?
No, it's really good. Really good. Yeah, I think we all come up with the same decision. One thing I got from it, I think it was can't remember his name now. Actually said about, have you got a safer travel team?
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have something like that.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it would be fantastic if we could spend, a whole day together talking about this and doing all of this. And obviously the training delivers all of that. But if this is provoking ideas and support that you can then pursue further, and we're really interested in hearing about them, because, as we mentioned, we've been working with the CPT on really embedding this in terms of things that work around the training as well. So good to hear. We're not going to ask you questions on that, quite simply because we want to leave time for your questions. But we hope that discussion amongst you was just interesting. And we have 7 scenarios that we explore with drivers in the training itself. So they get a real good opportunity to work through possible actions. Something that is really clear that came out for a Unite bus survey, and I thought I had the slide up, but I don't. But it's something like 80% of women who work in the bus industry also experience harassment and sexual abuse, which is really, really important. So at the end of the course, we do a section on culture, workplace culture, and also look at people being allies. Because if you think back to the escalation pyramid that we spoke about, we said that potential perpetrators test low-level behaviours in an environment before their behaviour escalates. And we all know that workplaces can be full of banter, things that are inappropriately said, and have an impact on some people that we just don't realise. So we do a lot of work around this and think about what are the reasons that people don't call out other people's behaviour when things are said that potentially, like she's fit for a manager, that potentially have a huge impact on culture, and tell a potential perpetrator this is okay. So that's the final section of the training, which is a real call to action for drivers. Once they've worked out what they can do in their bus, we focus on what they can do in the work environment. And we talk a lot about men being a big part of the solution. This is not about blaming men. This is about men being, a massive part of the solution.
Yeah, because most men don't realize this. They don't know. So bringing them into that conversation, it helps them to realize it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Carol. You managed to navigate the M25. Lovely.
I did. Thank you.
But again, so the basically the key messages in the training are that you can do a huge amount as a bus driver, and if you think there are 150 of you, including coach drivers, that makes a big difference. It's a collective effort. So we're going to chat a little bit about implementing VAWG training, and also offer you the opportunity to ask any questions you want. And I know Carol wants to say something as well. What I would say is I'm going to hand over to Carolyn, but I'll monitor the chat. So if there are any questions that you have that you want to put in the chat while this is going on, I'll monitor it and we'll answer as many as we possibly can.
Thanks, Claire. Thank you. I think you're controlling the slides. So if you could just pop on, that would be great. Thank you. I'll keep this brief because, as Claire said, we want to be able to answer your questions and also hand over to Carol as well. So I know some of you on this call have been through our lead trainer and train the trainer training. Some of you might be interested. So we just wanted to give you a little bit of information about it. So in terms of if you are working for an operator and you want to deliver this CPC module, the Safer Travel for Women and Girls module, it obviously involves completing, getting access to the training module. Now, the training module content is there for all CPT members, but firstly, you do need to complete an authorised Train the Trainer course, which I'll talk about in a second. So part of that is completing the Train the Trainer course. It's also putting in place more a whole kind of program of work, really, and some of this has been coming up on the chat actually. So not the training alone is not going to do it. The training is super important and it's mandatory according to the Bus Services Act of last year, but it's also making sure you've got leadership engagement, that you've got training for managers and supervisors. That came up in the chat earlier as well. So important that they're aligned as well, engaging with local police, making sure there's a kind of reporting mechanism in place. All of these things are really important, and we're happy to, Understood and CPT, we're really happy to talk to operators and give them advice around this as well. If we just go on to the next one there, in terms of the kind of route for Train the Trainer, there are two options. Again, can share much more detailed information with you if you want. There's a standard Train the Trainer, which is a 2-day course that will equip your trainers or a trainer to train drivers on this content. If you want your trainers to be able to train other trainers, they would have to complete a lead trainer program, which is a 3-day course. That's the one that Dan's been on. It's the one that I think Ahmed, have you been on that course? Oh no, yeah. The two. Yeah. So,
2-day, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a choice there, and again, we've got a lot more detail around that that we can share with you if you get in touch with us. And there's just one more slide which I will mention because that's got our contact details on. So we are continuing to deliver lead trainers and train the trainer courses throughout 2026 and beyond. So do get in touch with us if you would like any information for the next about dates for the next course, or if you would like us to deliver the course specifically to your operating company as well, or your trainers can join a sort of open access course. The email address is there, Catherine@weareunderstood.com. So get in touch with my colleague Catherine and she will give you all the details. And in terms of where, I've just seen a message from Olivia, where the courses take place. They take place anywhere and everywhere. So Claire ran one last week in Cardiff. You're running one in Rugby soon. We've run one in, where was the last one, Claire?
Stockport. Yeah.
Stockport, yeah. We can run one in Scotland. We can run one wherever. Essentially, we're looking for people to host. So if you're able to offer the venue, that would be fabulous, actually. So as I say, contact Catherine and we can give you some more details. We've only got 5 minutes left, so I'm just thinking if we move on to any questions. Feel free to share them in the chat.
There's one in the chat from Amanda, I think it was. asking about, does it cover banter, the course? Yeah, Amanda O'Donoghue. So yes, it does. It does cover banter and the harms that various comments that are made could actually have. So we look at various things that people might say and the damage that that can do to try and raise a bit of awareness and a bit of understanding. And we also look at how we can approach things in a non-confrontational way if somebody does cross a line. So that is looked at. With regards to an induction, that would be very operator specific. We can't really say across operators because we each do our own inductions. So it's not really possible to answer that one. But it's an interesting point that maybe it could be included within there. So that's something that we could look at. But that is operator specific, really.
And Amanda, you've got your hand raised. A second question.
I just wanted to say that, I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous to most people, but some people, due to, I don't know, their exposure to being around women, due to being a certain age, and they've got away with behaviours in the past, perhaps due to cultural differences, perhaps due to learning differences. There are multiple reasons where people genuinely may not know that their behaviour or the words or the language that they're using is causing offence or making people feel uncomfortable. Even on a very low level, it could be a little bit creepy. And people can be totally unaware of it. So there needs to be a mechanism in place where people are called out, but gently. Did you know? Because you can't, not everyone's a predator, not everyone's going to jump on you and whatever. We need to create environments whereby men can have those discussions and understand how, by them staying silent, that is kind of almost compliance. If you don't say, look, did you know, you don't have to start a fight with it, you don't have to call people names with it, you don't have to label people, make them feel uncomfortable. Did you know that this is not acceptable behaviour? Not everyone's got sisters, not everyone spends time around women. So I think there is some work to be done, certainly from an induction point of view when you join a new organisation, to make sure that people are clear about this is the code of conduct, in the same way that we have a policy for finance, a policy for social media use, a policy for expenses. We need to have the policy, and you need to check and tick the box and say, I understand that these behaviours are acceptable and these behaviours aren't acceptable.
Yeah,
so
I think sorry, Amanda.
Yeah, just saying that, there needs to be consistency through the piece from the day that they join the operator to when they having their lunch in the canteen, to when they're out walking down the street, and that consistency must then follow through to the passengers on the bus.
Yeah, and that is 100% the message that we look to convey in the last section of this training. It's important to say that the focus of this training is on, what a driver can do, so the whole build up. And this is a cultural part, which we do devote time to at the end. But I think the whole cultural part we appreciate is a whole different training in itself as well. So we sort of set that seed and we give that message, but don't go into detail on it.
And some operators, just to say, some operators are choosing to, so the CPC content we've created is about 3.5 hours long, and some operators are choosing to, for the full 7-hour CPC day, are doing sort of workplace sexual harassment, or they're doing other kind of topics that complement the VAWG topic as well. So that might be something as an operator you might choose to do, so that it's something that is kind of reinforcing a lot of the key messages.
A nice comment thank you, Amanda. Empowering drivers and helping them make positive choices. That's a great summary for what it is. Any other questions from anybody before we hand over to Carol? Because we have run out of time, but I'm going nowhere. My life is all about this now. I'm passionate about it. So I'll hang on for as long as anybody wants.
And just to say, if anyone does have any questions, then do feel free to contact me, Carolyn at weareunderstood.com, or I'm sure Carol will say the same thing at Women in Bus and Coach as well. So you know, you might sort of be thinking about this later today and have other questions.
Carol, go over to you.
All I really wanted to say was just thank you. Thank you so much for your passion and your interest and your determination to kind of help put this together, and for doing this webinar today. I know we met in person at the launch, and it was fantastic, and you know, being able to share that with everybody else today is great. So thank you to sort of Carolyn, Daniel and Claire, all of you for your time today, really. And I also just wanted to say that I think it's fantastic to see the interest that we've had in terms of people who wanted to attend today, and the range of people and the breadth of up and down the country really shows the power of, you know, being able to do it by a webinar. But actually the most important thing is it starts a conversation, and it starts to plant a seed that might not have been in people's minds before. And actually that then means that more and more people will start to be curious, and the more that we can get people to be curious about this topic, the more we then we can normalize it, and we can get more people to understand how they can support and help, both as a bus driver on the bus and for our passengers, but also that kind of within our own organizations kind of perspective. And the final thing that I was just going to say was just that if you're not a member yet, for either for Women in Bus and Coach from a corporate perspective or from an individual perspective in one of our regions, then absolutely come and get in touch. You know, there's a lot we can achieve, and we can do it more with more people. So again, once again, thanks Carolyn, Daniel, Claire. I really appreciate your time today and for putting this together.
But I can't let you go, Carol, without actually saying Carol attended a leadership conference we did at earlier in the year, which is how she came to ask for this. And there is a very challenging section where you work with an actor to handle driver pushbacks. We do that a lot in the Train the Trainer, because obviously we do get a lot of pushbacks, and trainers need to be able to handle it. And Carol absolutely nailed it. She was brilliant. So if you ever get any driver pushbacks and you're struggling with how to handle them, Carol is your person.
Definitely.
Have I embarrassed you sufficiently, Carol?
Well, not at all. But what I'll say is that what sits behind that is lived experience. And actually, the best way to learn sometimes is lived experience. And if you don't have that lived experience, get curious with someone who has, because they will help you with that journey. So thank you all.
In which case, we are done. Feel free to go and have lunch. I'll hang on as well, just in case there are any other questions. But thank you very much for getting involved today. Thank you so much, Dan and Carolyn. And yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Pleasure, Dave.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Very informative.